to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning. As we get you rolling on a great Monday morning, happy to be here with y'all today. As we got a lot to get into and a little time to do it. You know how we do here on the Take Me Out to the Ball game. So let's go ahead and set the clock, and we will get you in and out of here before the 10 minutes is through. Here we go. All right. The medal count. Let's go ahead and look into the medal count for the Summer Olympics. This is as of 8 o'clock Eastern time. So forgive me if it changes, but it's a little past 8 o'clock Eastern, but 8 o'clock Eastern time. Right now, today, China has a 1 medal lead over the United States. 15 medals to the U.S. is 14. Japan, the home country, the host country, 11. So you got to like that, because the one thing you do want with the host country, you want to see them do well. You don't want to see that. Now, it's a little different this year because it's more of like, doesn't matter as much because you don't have fans in the stands. So who really cares if the fans are happy, because they're all sitting at home anyways on TV. So it's a little different. But all in all, the U.S. has 7 gold medals, 3 silver, and 4 bronze. So if you look at that, in the U.S. and Japan actually lead China by 1 gold medal in the gold medal count. So there you have that. We don't have time to get into every sport of this and whatnot in the breakdown. We just want to try to get you caught up to what's going on. All right, Major League Baseball, if you're looking for something to sink your teeth into today, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, they have a doubleheader today. The New York Mets are sitting atop the standings in the NL East divisional race. Mets won against Toronto late yesterday afternoon, and so they won that series. Braves and Phillies split. So we are where we were on Thursday. The Mets are 4 games in front of the Phillies, 5 in front of the Atlanta Braves. Braves and Mets start their series today, and like I said, doubleheader, and that's the big deal today. As far as all, if you want to sink your teeth in any kind of baseball today, that's it. If you want to look for some American League baseball, Blue Jays, Red Sox tonight, that should be outstanding. All right, let's move on from that. The big news around the sports world this weekend, especially the college sports world this weekend, is the fact that Oklahoma and Texas, it looks like that they are moving to the Southeastern Conference. Now, we haven't gotten it nailed down to exactly when, to exactly where, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. And so with that being said, we're going to see Oklahoma and Texas slide over to the Southeastern Conference. I believe they go into the SEC West, and so they'll move 2 teams from the West over to the East. Now, we're going to actually debate this on the morning show, the Wake Up Y'all show. This is the simplest thing that I see when you look at it geographically, and also balance of power and interest. I'm moving Alabama and Auburn over to the East. I'm putting Texas and Oklahoma in the West, and then you're done. Now, you could flip-flop a little bit. The one caveat that I have to that is that maybe I send Missouri out west. Out west. But that can be argued about 6 ways to no way, and we're going to do that on the show this morning. So I won't clog up the entire show with that. So, or this show with that. So Justin and I are going to get into that extensively. But what that means is when you break that up, remember the Big 12 is actually 10 teams. It's confusing as hell, because then they call the Big 10, and it's 14 teams. And the Pac-12, I believe, is 10 teams. It's so hard to keep up with because they don't do their true name. They need to do what the ACC and SEC do and just go by their brand name. I'll give the Big 10 the pass. That's it. because they've had that name forever and it's their brand. But Big 12, Pac 12, Pac 12 just needs to rename themselves the Pacific Coast something, because I believe PCC's already taken. So Pacific Coast, whatever, West Coast, whatever, they need to rebrand it. But that's not a point today that I'm going to make. What you're going to see is they could add 2 teams and say, let's go. But I think they're in danger of losing their credibility as a quote unquote Power 5. So I believe what's more likely to happen is either A, you're going to see 2 or 3 more teams jump ship. West Virginia is already being rumored to go to the ACC, or you're going to see a couple of those teams jump ship, and then they're going to try to bring in some hauls like BYU and maybe try to steal a couple from a conference or 2. Maybe now that they're gone, they can convince Nebraska to come back. I don't know, but like I said, we're going to debate that in depth today on the show. Other things going on in the world of sports, obviously the Olympics is the big thing going on. Did you see this? Their ratings have been atrocious. Now, I've been watching. I haven't gotten caught up into the madness of will they or won't they stand for the flag junk, because it's all propaganda at this point. Every single one of them's doing it to get a Nike deal, because we all know Nike's anti-American and all that junk. But the point is, I'm going to watch it because I enjoy watching sports I never watch. I don't watch much basketball in the Olympics. I won't watch much baseball in the Olympics because I know it's not the best of the best. And if it gets to the medal game, I might check it out. But I go to the Olympics to watch the sports that I grew up as a kid watching on TV, that was the only time you got to see it, was once every 4 years. And I don't know about your parents, but my parents would sell that to me and basically say, you need to watch this because you won't see it for another 4 years. And when you're a young kid, that seems like forever. When you're 8, 9 years old, you're like, 4 years? I'll be a teenager So I would always dive into these. And literally, I say that as I'm watching them dive into the pool. I like watching the pool events. Long before even Michael Phelps came along, I've always been a fan of the pool events. Maybe it's the living in Florida thing, I don't know. But I've always been a big fan of that. And I do love the track and field. The track and field is awesome. And then also just the weird sports that I'm like, really? This is a sport? The canoe slalom was on this morning. I don't know what the hell that is realistically, but they were basically in a little they call it a canoe, but it looked like a kazoo, and they were flipping around in the water and they're trying to keep themselves straight. That's cool stuff to me, but their ratings are down, and they're down in a huge way. They came out with an estimated 17 million for the for the opening ceremony. That's a little concerning, but I will say this: how big of a draw is it when there's no fans in the stands? I think that's had a lot to do with it. Now, I do think there's going to be a lot of Americans that won't tune in because of all this junk that's been thrown at them. And I'll tell you something else: their competitors. So now this has no longer become about national pride for anybody. This is all about business. And the ESPNs of the world, they are trashing the Olympics. They're talking about the COVID and this and that, and anything they can do to try to get that thing taken down so that they don't have 2.5 weeks of no one watching their product. But 17 million sounds like a lot. It's not. It's way down. 26 million was the number in 2018. And then if you go back a couple Olympics before then, we were talking about like around 40 million. Once again, people have more things that they can watch now, and you're not necessarily, and that was including the streaming too, by the way. That was not just live TV. So they have a way to calculate that. But when it's all said and done, I think a lot of people will watch a little bit of it, but I don't think they'll get locked into it, mainly because the time zone. But I think the time zone works out decently because I don't mind watching it in the morning. And then as long as you stay away from it, I don't pay attention to the scrolling of who won this and who won that. I can sit down and watch it on, in the evening when I get off work and whatnot. I enjoy the Olympics. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it even when I'm watching baseball, like I'll be watching today. I'll be watching the doubleheader, and then I'll have the Olympics on another channel because I know I won't get this again until 2024. Best case scenario. More people. It's funny how I talked to a friend, and he said he's more into the Winter Olympics, which is odd because he grew up in Florida like I did. I've always been more of a Summer Olympics person. I think the main reason is because as a kid in 1984, we hosted the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, and it was made such a big deal that there were souvenirs, et cetera, you could buy all throughout the country. And so that stood out to me as a child, so I'll always be a Summer Olympics fan. The Winter Olympics are okay. I will watch them, but I can't relate because I ain't never snow skied a day in my life, so I don't get it. It's impressive, but I don't understand it. There's a lot of like I never played ice hockey. It's impressive, but I never played it, so I'm not. And not to mention, I'm not. That's one of the few sports that draws me to the Winter Olympics. I'm not going to watch that when I can watch the NHL, which is a much greater product. Give me the sports that I don't get to see. I was even watching badminton the other day, and as I was watching, I was like, I cannot believe I'm watching badminton. But it was fun. It was cool. I may not sit there and watch it for a 3-hour block, but the volleyball, I really like the volleyball. I forget how much I like volleyball until it comes back around in Summer Olympics. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get on out of here before I keep droning on. Take yourself out to the ball game today, or at least take yourself to the couch and go watch the Olympics. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take me out to the ball game. Take